Okay, I just want to keep y'all updated on what's going on as far as the COVID relief bill. In case you don't want to thumb through it, I've kind of done that myself. I'll just give y'all pretty much, the outline of what the Senate Dems just passed. So let's go to Jeff Stein over at the Washington Post. He says, breaking, Senate Dems pass Biden's $1.9 trillion stimulus. The biggest provisions within it are the $1,400 checks per adult and kid that also includes adult dependents, like college students, I believe. Unemployment at $300 per week through September 6th. $350 billion for city, states, and tribes. $3,000 per year per kid, 6 to 17 years old. $3,600 for kids 0 to 6 years old. $170 billion for schools, and $100 billion for public health. I'm guessing that's along the lines of the vaccine. So let's kind of go through it one by one. The $1,400 checks per adult and per kid and adult, dependents. As far as the bill goes, it's not the $2,000 that was promised. So that is a letdown. You can't add on what Trump gave people. That it doesn't really work like that. It is $1,400. Biden says it's going to be going out sometime this month. Adding the kids on there, I think, is a very good thing. So families, obviously, with a lot more expenses, when you have a kid, you can you'll get a stimulus check for those kids and for adult dependents. They should have never been left out of relief. Obviously, a lot of college students are already on, have some type of loans that they're dealing with, and a lot of people's parents, can't afford to pay for them through college. So, a lot of them have jobs, and a lot of them lost their jobs as well during the pandemic. So they deserve that relief just like any other worker. So it is good that they're getting that relief. The unemployment at $300, it's half of what was in the CARES Act, what the Republicans gave. So, if I'm Biden, I'm the Democrats. I don't want to be anywhere near. I would have given more than what Trump gave. And I think that's what they should have done. It is at $300. Something that is good is that $10,000 because the unemployment benefits are taxable. That's taxable income. Don't ask me why. It, of course, should not be. It almost feels like double taxation. Obviously, that money is coming from, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that money comes from our own taxes. The government is giving it back in the unemployment insurance. And so it is taxed. But in this bill, there is a $10,000 tax forgiveness, up to $10,000. So the first $10,000 of that unemployment, if you've received that sum total or less, will be tax free. If you've received more than that, well, then the first $10,000 is tax free, and the rest is taxable income. And that goes through September 6th. $350 billion for city, states, and tribes. That is significantly more than what was under the CARES Act. So that's definitely a good thing. I mean, who knows exactly what the states will be using it for, the cities and states, but I'm assuming that they'll be using it for things that their constituents need, I hope. The $3,000 per year per kid, 6 through 17, $3,600 for kids 0 to 6. This is being kind of put out there as one of the very big achievements within this bill. I will concede that it is a good thing that, people with kids are going to be getting, tax credits. The difference, and I actually have a small article, just a short, quick article on this because I didn't know much about it, and I know y'all might not. So the Democrats push forward with temporary child tax credit, but some want to make increase permanent. So this is a 1-year deal. So it's going to be up next year. So right now, there's actually a $2,000 tax credit for kids. So the Democrats up that to $3,000 for anyone 6 to 17, $3,600 for anyone who has per year per kid for anyone who has kids 0 to 6. Before, that tax credit was refundable up to $1,400 if you basically the credit exceeded what you owed on your taxes. Now it can be fully refunded in monthly payments, I believe, or in a sum total at the end of the year. Definitely a good thing. Now, once that sunsets next year, I don't know if it's going to go just back to the 2000 that, it used to be, or if it's going to be gone altogether. So that's definitely something to keep an eye out on. They're saying that this is going to decrease child poverty in half. A few things I have on that. One, what about the other half? Do the other half of kids deserve to live in poverty? Of course not. That's what you get, with Democrats in office. You do get some good things, but there's obviously more left out there that they don't really do. And, they champion it as half of child poverty gone. And my question is, what about the other half? If you have the power and the ability to do something about that, you should just eradicate child poverty altogether. Another thing to look out for when it comes to that is whether or not, now I'm losing my train of thought. I definitely had something to say on that, and maybe it'll come back to me. Let me go ahead to the schools. 170 billion for schools, which is great, and 100 billion for public health, which obviously is something that is good. You definitely want to get the vaccine rolled out. So it's not all bad in this bill. There are definitely good things within the bill. We'll see. Oh, what I wanted to say about the eradicating child poverty. The federal poverty line is $12,000 a year. So, whatever you're basing over eradicating child poverty off of, $12,000 a year is, that's what they say is the poverty line. So if you're making 16, 17K, technically you're not in poverty by the federal poverty line. Obviously, we know that's BS. So what this really does for child poverty, I'm not sure. I don't know if it does eradicate half of child poverty or a percentage of child poverty. I'm happy and glad that those people will be getting that assistance. Do I wish it was more? Of course, I wish it was more. Child poverty should be eradicated, full stop. Chris Murphy tweeted something that I thought was interesting, and I want to bring it up because I haven't been seeing anyone really talk about this. And so what he said was, little noticed but super important provision of the American Rescue Plan. It dramatically lowers premiums for ACA health plans, caps premiums at 8% of income. I think it's actually 8.5%. No premiums for anyone 150% of the poverty line or below. That's huge and so important in the middle of a pandemic. Now, in light of that, I will say I highly doubt that we're going to get a public option. This is, when you look at this looks like something that they're kind of going to hold up as, we fixed healthcare. So basically, 150% of the poverty line, which is about $18,000. Anyone making up to $18,000 will not have any premiums on their healthcare. That's great. It really should be everyone because we should have universal healthcare. But in the reality we live in right now, that's the case. And if we could just take a look at this graph, up to 400. So it works its way up, but it caps at 8.5% for 400% the poverty line and higher. It does, which is good. People's premiums have been out of control. So this is their way of, they're just throwing money at healthcare. Healthcare insurance companies, just throwing money away into our wasteful healthcare system. Your taxpayer dollars going towards that. So it will be even higher percentage of our GDP just spent on wasteful healthcare, but it will allow a lot more people to be able to afford these premiums. I don't know. It has nothing. I looked through the bill, nothing about deductibles in the bill. So I don't know if it's going to be, you have a low premium, but then you have like a $15,000 deductible. Don't quote me on that. I haven't seen either way, but I would not be surprised if that was still the case, because I don't see anything in this bill, any language in this bill that says that deductibles are also capped, right? Or copays are also capped. I don't see anything in this bill about prescription drugs. So I don't know if there'll be a cap on that either. So, just a step, I guess, an incremental step. That's what the Democratic Party does is incremental steps. So that's that. Also on the small business front. So obviously we know what the PPP was. It was the Paycheck Protection Program. It was basically supposed to be for a fund for small businesses. We know that completely got pillaged by large corporations because there was no oversight in the CARES Act when the Republicans had the government. So pretty much half of that $350 billion went to large corporations. And then the other half, all the small businesses were left to kind of fend for themselves. With that money that was left over, there was, obviously a lot more businesses applied for it than got it. So that was the CARES Act plan. And this plan, there really is not much about small businesses. I think let's look at this at this graphic that I guess explains what passed the House, and I don't think anything changed in the Senate bill. So it was $15 billion for targeted economic injury disaster loan. I don't know if that's really I guess it's for small businesses, but I'm not exactly sure what that entails. But this is the important part right here. $25 billion for restaurant, bars, and other eligible providers of food and drink. Now, that sounds like a lot of money, but there's a lot of restaurants that went under. So I think that'll be grossly inadequate for the crisis that we face. And I have not heard a lot of people talking about that. So I'm interested to see what the Democrats have to say about that when they are inevitably questioned about that. Apparently there's $15 billion more in grant money. So that's not loans. That's just giving money to airlines, the airline industry, with $14 billion for eligible air carriers and $1 billion for eligible contractors. An additional $8 billion is provided for airports. So, I mean, that's almost, they already got a bailout in the CARES Act, and apparently they're getting more of a bailout here in this bill, the airline industry. So that's pretty much what I've seen so far. I think this bill is very emblematic of what the Democratic Party is. They'll call it the American Rescue Plan, but at the end of the day, people, low-wage workers who worked throughout the entire pandemic will get a one-time check of $1,400 and still be working poverty wages. Still be working poverty wages because they stripped the minimum wage out of the bill. That is not in the bill. Yes, it helps people, with kids and it helps adult independence. Schools, is money for vaccines. There's good stuff in the bill, right? But what this bill basically does is gets America back to where we were before the pandemic, which is, over 50% of workers living paycheck to paycheck, 40% of people who can't afford a $400 emergency. Actually, I think that might have been 70% of workers. So it's a large amount. It's going to get people back to working, every single day, in wage slavery, not really having the ability, basically just living paycheck to paycheck, living on the brink of, survival in this country and struggling every single day to make ends meet. That's what this plan does. It does not rescue people in the sense that you might think. It pretty much gets us back to, or is trying and attempting to get us back to where we were pre-pandemic. And in their minds, that's perfectly fine. So I just wanted to give y'all an update on where this bill is. Obviously, still has to go back to the House. I doubt, there's been calls for House progressives to withhold their votes for this package until the minimum wage is put back in the package. Some people have been saying until the $2,000 checks are put back in. Some people are saying until, the unemployment is back to 600 like it was in the CARES Act. I really doubt any of that's going to happen. We can pressure them as much as we want, but at the end of the day, it's up to them. And they have not really shown any signs to really go against the party. They'll, put the bill right in their face and be like, oh, do you not want to help anybody? Do you not want to help people? Of course, that couldn't be further from the truth. They want more relief. They want actually sufficient help going to people to actually, balance out what they've gone through this crisis. This bill does not really do that. My fear is they're going to support it anyway. They'll probably vote along, with the party along party lines. And, that'll be that. So we'll keep reporting as more details come out about the bill. It's a $1.9 trillion bill, so it's, very large. I'm sure more details will come out in the future, and we'll be here reporting on that. So, yeah, that's the American Rescue Plan just passed the Senate. And like I said, we'll keep reporting on that as more details come out in the future.